I'm going to do a book review for you today, and today we're going to be talking about Shatter Me by Thahereh Mafi. This was actually the book club book for June at my local library, so I just finished it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. And it was a pretty decent read. I think I'd give it about 3 to 3.5 stars. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. The basic premise of it I kind of liked, but there were certain just certain aspects about the book itself that I wasn't really a fan of. But I'd definitely give it like 3 to 3.5 stars. So what is this book about? This book is about a girl named Juliet, and she literally cannot touch anyone or they will die. Like a slow, painful death, and it's really horrible. So, about 3 years ago, Juliet accidentally hurt someone, and the utopian or dystopian government that is in charge of her society, known as the, what's it called again? The Reestablishment. The Reestablishment locks her up in the asylum for a crime that she didn't mean to commit. And for the last 3 years, she's been in this asylum, and then the Reestablishment decides, you know what, that weird chick could be a very useful weapon for our efforts to crush the rebellion against us. So they pull Juliet out of the asylum, and the book is basically about the Reestablishment trying to convince Juliet to join their cause and crush the rebellion, and Juliet not wanting to be a part of that, and trying to learn to accept herself and, you know, not be a pawn in their game. But I would definitely suggest this book to anyone that likes romance. It's not really much of a dystopian novel. I mean, it's set in a dystopia world, but that is not the thing, the plot device that the novel revolves around. It really revolves around Juliet's interactions and relationships with her love interest. And, so it's really more of a romance with a dystopian subplot than a dystopian with a romance subplot. And that was something that I personally didn't like about the book. But if that's your thing, then go for it. This book is probably for you. That's about all I have for the non-spoilery section. So if you haven't read the book yet, go read the book and then come back and watch the rest of this video so we can discuss it. Okay. So, let's discuss Shatter Me. Okay, Juliet is not my favorite character ever. She's just... Okay, look, I know that the writing style was supposed to be, like, poetic, but after the first 50 pages, the repetitive words and the cross-outs and the 2 pages worth of metaphors to describe a table were, like, really, really annoying. And I'm exaggerating with the table bit, but I mean, you don't need 18 pages of metaphors to describe a very mundane object. And maybe that was just me and my personal taste in writing styles, but I just, after a little while, it gets annoying to hear every single thing described in such excruciating detail. And, oh, another thing that really kind of bothered me was the, instantaneous relationship between Juliet and Adam. I know they had known each other before the book started, like at school and stuff, but they never talked to each other, like, in real life. Like, they had only, like, looked across the table at each other and, like, admired each other from afar. But then, all of a sudden, 3 years later, they have this, like, instantaneous romantic relationship, and it just felt too rushed. Felt like maybe the book was trying to get us to the romantic part way too fast. And, that was just something that really kind of pushed my buttons, because I'm a sucker for slow burn, like, relationship establishments. So, when you, like, pretty much from the get-go jump into a relationship, it just doesn't feel realistic, and it feels kind of forced and rushed. And that was just something that I wasn't really a big fan of, was that the romance was so rushed and forced. And actually, that it was such a big part of the novel, like, at all. It should have mainly focused around Juliet and her emotions and stuff regarding towards her powers, and not just the love that she felt toward Adam, which I feel like was 98% of this book, was just Juliet and Adam. And what else was there? Oh yeah, Warner. He's obviously the villain in this book, right? Well, even so, being the villain, he's, like, really not my favorite. Warner is very, very possessive of Juliet, almost not in, like, a protective way, in, like, the way somebody would protect, like, an object that they didn't want stolen. And people are not objects. And I get that Warner was absolutely bonkers, but just gave me the creeps. I don't know. What else was there? Oh yeah! The world development. This is supposed to be set in a dystopian society, but the backstory on the reestablishment and, you know, why birds don't fly anymore, and why people are getting these diseases that I think lead to the powers that they have. I wasn't clear on that, so I could be wrong, but I think the diseases lead to the powers. But there wasn't just much world building and backstory on the world, and I was just kind of lost. Because, for all I knew, this could have been set in, like, the modern world, and then in the next few pages, we're talking about, like, a dystopian government and a machine that can multiply the quantity of food. I mean, it didn't feel like a futuristic world. It felt like a world that had, like, futuristic, felt like our world had just, like, one or two futuristic elements thrown in it, and there wasn't much thought given to the world building. But, yeah, the world building was a bit of an issue for me. But the things I did like about this book was, I liked Kenji. I liked that he was, very sarcastic and very, just, like, very dry humor, and just a real pain in the butt, but a kind of funny pain in the butt. Kind of lightened the dark and depressing mood of the rest of the book. And just, Kenji was fun to have around for, like, a book where you didn't get a whole lot of laughs. I also feel like the book didn't really pick up until after they escaped, wherever it was they were being held. I don't remember what they called it, but it was like wherever they took Juliet after they rescued her from the asylum. I didn't feel like the book actually like started until we left there and got to Adam's house apartment thing. And then it was just like, and that was like 100 pages in, and this book is only like 300 pages. So it was like, felt like over half the book was spent just like a gray space where you were just like waiting for something to happen. And but another thing that I actually did like about this book was I like James. I like that he's this cute little cinnamon roll of a 10-year-old, and he's very smart, and obviously cares a lot about his brother Adam. And he's not like, okay, he's sheltered, but he's not like, he's like, I'm almost 11, I can take care of myself now. Like, that's the most adorable thing ever. And Adam's actually a really good character with his backstory and everything, and just his loyalty towards his family and his friends. And I actually think the only character that I found kind of like, you know, didn't feel like they served a purpose was Juliet. And I just felt like her character was like very two-dimensional, and I felt like it wasn't fleshed out yet. But I'm gonna read the second book and see if any of these get better. And because this could have just been, you know, like setting up exactly what needs to happen with Juliet and the reestablishment and all that. So it's a possibility that the next two books could get a lot better. But I just felt like this book was just kind of, felt like the book didn't really start until like 100 pages in. So I don't know, it was okay. It was an okay book, and I'm probably going to read the next book just to see what happens and to see if all the major plot points that I didn't like so much kind of change. See what happens with the characters, see what happens with the story, and yeah. I mean, I'll read the second book, and I mean, yeah, I'm definitely probably gonna read the second book just to find out what happens. And I don't know, this book, maybe this book just wasn't like my cup of tea, but like, it was okay. And I think that's pretty much it for Shatter Me. Sorry if I hurt anybody's feelings. If this was your favorite book and I said something that you don't agree with, I apologize, but this was just my opinion on the book and my taste on the book. Yeah, like I said earlier, maybe as I get further on in the series, it will get better, but I just don't feel like this book was like all that it could have been. So, thank you guys for watching, even though I probably wasn't very enthusiastic. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time I do a video. Bye!